Okay, hey again, all of you wonderful people out there. So, I just saw that DC did a stream about the UN earlier, and I thought we could see what she had to say, because why not? Why the hell not? Am I right? So this was 4 hours ago, and I bet it's going to be good. I bet it's going to be real good.
Do this before bed to stop receding gums and decaying teeth before it's too late. 25% of adults over 65 have lost all their teeth from decay. All it takes is 7 seconds before bed to restore years' worth of decay and never set foot in an expensive dental office again. World-renowned scientists at the National Institute of...
Okay.
Hello. Sorry, I am still getting organized and I totally forgot to click go live. I apologize for that.
Okay.
So today we've got a long video that Ben Shapiro did that I think does probably the best job that I've
Ben
seen
Shapiro,
of anyone
great.
In a long time, explaining
We're going to
the
really
United
be in
Nations
for a treat.
and why it is that many of us do not care for the United Nations. We're not United Nations enthusiasts. So before I get to that, I am looking for a video that I swear I posted somewhere. So you know what I'm going to do? First, I'm going to go, I haven't even taken a look at my chat. Let me see if anybody's in chat.
Go ahead.
Nope, nobody's in chat. Okay. First, I want to draw the attention of everyone to a psychotic individual.
Oh, who's that? Who's that going to be? Who's it going to be this time? Me, Hussy, or somebody else? Who? A psychotic individual. Oh. I ain't surprised nobody was in chat, because everybody knows that you are full of hypocrisy.
Who has been leaving comments.
Oh, is it the same person
under
that
my
left,
videos? A person called Calico.
Is it the same person that left all that stupid shit on Negs' fucking streams? Or is it just that I'm assuming this is a different person, right? It must be.
Calico Beauty, who I swear to God I have blocked about 1,000 times. And the person just keeps coming back. They're like a poltergeist.
Oh,
you
no.
know, or one of those slasher movie villains.
Oh, no.
Now, all I can say is that Calico Beauty is a rape apologist and an anti-Semite based on what they themselves have commented under my videos. So,
all right.
I'm sorry, Calico, if you don't like being called a rape apologist and a genocide denier, a person who advocates for genocide while denying it at the same time. If you don't like being called mean names,
leave DC alone. She's already enough of a raging panda bear.
I will have you know.
I'll have you know.
All my opinions, and if you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
There you go.
Okay?
Typical
now, I don't know if you guys knew this, but there is a Twitter account called Stop Anti-Semitism, and Stop Anti-Semitism has been identifying people who have been tearing down posters of.
Yeah, there is. I'll prove it right now. Here you go. Stop anti-Semitism. They're very good at what they do. I have to give them credit.
The kidnapped victims in Gaza and naming them, doxing them openly. Hello, Beth, how are you? I totally approve of this. I think that
Beth
there are
Thomas.
times when we need to bring back public shaming, and that's exactly what Stop Anti-Semitism is doing. So I'm just saying that, you know, it's not a good idea to be an open genocide cheerleader, a rape apologist, and an anti-Semite these days. It isn't, because you know what? Jews have decided that enough is fucking enough. We've had it. We're not going to take this abuse anymore.
Okay.
We're not going to go. I mean, some, you know, chickens cackling for Colonel Sanders will continue to attend the abattoir that is, you know, the cauldron of hypocrisy, of social activism, where we give of ourselves and we get nothing in return, or very little in return. And in that spirit, I want to say, I have two things that I think are worth mentioning. One is, I want to continue to send my gratitude and a shout out to Congressman Richie Torres of New York, who is bucking the trend, who is going fiercely against the squad. And I
believe it or not, speaking of Richie Torres, I'd like to show something about that too. Okay. If I can remember what his Twitter is. Okay, here it is. He follows me on Twitter. How do you like that, DC? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Russ has a follow from a congressman. It would never happen to you in a million years. Ever in your life. You'll never have a congressperson on your side. You heifer. Hello, Amber. Listening in the background, okay. And just in case you don't believe me, if it shows it. Yep, see? Follows you. How do you like that one? Oh, well, Russ, I'm sure that he would block your ass if he knew how much of a disgusting pig you were.
Really want to thank him for that, because he's not taking a stance that is popular with the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. And for that, I thank him. I mean, he's from New York, for God's sake, you know. And I don't know much about his district, but I don't think that he has a heavily Jewish district. I'm just saying that because I don't know. I think that his district is heavily Latino. And so I don't think that it would necessarily be that pressing an issue. Like Israel would not really be that much of, it wouldn't be as pressing a concern as, for example, a congressman who represents Crown Heights. You know, if there are even any Jews left in Crown Heights. I think there's still a few.
Crown Heights.
Although I think that Crown Heights has been significantly gentrified. I don't think that it's the Orthodox, I don't think it's the Orthodox exclusive neighborhood it used to be. Hello, Crochetter. Hello, Libby. Good to see you. All right, I wanted to start off
disgusting
with a couple
people.
of brief mentions, and then we're going to go right into Shapiro's video. All right, the first one is let's see, who should I start with?
Yeah, who should you start
Oh,
with?
I think I'll start with this. This is speaking of New York. Check this out.
What's this going to be about?
This happened at Cooper's Union. It's a New York
Okay.
City college.
A college.
And I want you to get a load of this, and I want you to imagine how you would feel if you were locked or trapped inside of a library on campus and you heard this at the door.
What the fuck?
Yep, that was a peaceful pro-Palestinian demonstration, and I used the word peaceful very sarcastically. Apparently, the university not only prevented the police
as
from
they always
accessing
do, yeah.
this library,
Yep.
but the professors gave extra credit to the students who attended it. So imagine getting college credit for organizing and carrying out or trying to carry out a pogrom. Imagine
locked in the libraries, how hard.
Imagine what the peasants in the Khmelnytsky uprising and in the shtetls across Eastern Europe would have done if they could have gotten a college degree from being violent anti-Semites. It's disgusting. And I'm sure that Cooper's Union is going to have a lot to answer for. All right, so
it's terrible.
Here's a tweet that I think bears looking at, and we're going to look at a news story too. All right. The reason Gaza is so anxious about fuel isn't hospitals, it's tunnels. Tens of thousands of Hamas fighters and commanders are hiding across hundreds of miles of deep tunnels which require constant ventilation. Without fuel, they'll have to rise to the surface or suffocate. Now, the UN has been bitching about running out of fuel. People have been complaining about the fuel situation. There is fuel in Gaza. There's fuel there, but it is being stockpiled by Hamas because Hamas, again, needs all that fuel. They need their electricity and they need water. All of that is available in the tunnels for these Hamas terrorists, but it's not available for the people of Gaza. And along those lines, now that we're calling a spade, let's take a look at this story from NBC News. Gaza is plagued by poverty, but Hamas has no shortage of cash. Where does it come from? Look at this. Hamas has an investment portfolio of real estate.
Okay, yeah. Hamas has an investment portfolio of real estate and other assets worth $500 million, say experts, and an annual military budget of as much as $350 million.
And other assets worth $500 million, say experts, and an annual military budget of as much as $350 million. Now, I think that you'll notice that while people are saying that there's no food, water, electricity in Gaza, somehow there's an endless supply of rockets. There's an endless supply of weapons in Gaza. But again, this is what we've been telling you all along, that these people do not care for the Palestinians.
Neither do you.
The unemployment rate in Gaza is 47%.
Neither do you.
And hang on. And more than 80% of its population lives in poverty, according to the UN. Hamas, however, has funded an armed force of thousands equipped with rockets and drones and built a vast web of tunnels under Gaza. Estimates of its total annual military budget range from 100 million to 350 million, according to Israeli and Palestinian sources. As the U.S. House and Senate will be
I'm surprised she knows how to read.
I don't know if you heard. Will be asking in separate hearings Wednesday and Thursday, where does all that cash come from? Hamas, since coming to power in the Gaza Strip 17 years ago, which was the last time there was ever an election, on the Gaza Strip, and they basically killed or exiled all the members of Fatah, all the opposition, and even today they continue to jail, torture, intimidate, and kill anyone who goes against the regime. So that will answer the question of why is it that the people of Gaza don't rise up? Well, because Hamas has all the weapons, they have all the energy, all the money, and it's not easy. All right. Hamas has filled its coffers with hundreds of millions in international aid, overt and covert injections of cash from Iran and other ideological.
You know, DC, you really should have went to school to become a teacher. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I've been saying it, I'll say it again. You should have became a teacher, especially if you're so interested in shit like this. Why not? Why not go and try to get a teaching license somewhere? Just a thought. SMH is right. The unemployment rate in the the unemployment rate in the Corbyn household is 100%. Oh yeah.
Partners, as well as cryptocurrency, taxes, extortion, and smuggling, according to current and former U.S. officials and regional experts. Okay, so Qatar supplies aid through the UN. The Qatari aid covers the salaries of civil servants, buys fuel for the power grid, and provides cash to needy families. Some of it is less than legal. In addition to levying taxes on Gaza's business and residents, Hamas imposes unofficial fees on smuggled goods and other activity for a combined income of up to $450 million per year.
Listening to this shit literally makes me feel like I'm back in high school. He made a post about me, Jake, where on his new channel. I'll look at it. I wonder what it is. Oh, I bet it's awful. I bet it's so hurtful. Troll conspiracy? Okay. All right, I'll look at that, and then I'll get back to clunka. Okay. All right. Okay, community. Chris Bliss. Bergs. Last night's live stream. Guess whose living room? What happened to his teeth? Is that the only one? Is that seriously the only one? Jake. Okay. All right. What happened to my teeth is I had to have a lot of them removed. That's it. Talking smack on stream. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what he has to say. He's a damn child predator. I said it already. I'll say it again. He's a fucking. The way he talked about underage girls was despicable. So he can make fun of me all he wants to. I don't give a shit. Doesn't change what he did. All right. Let's get back to DC.
Per year. Hamas also has real estate and other investments around the globe, despite international restrictions, and uses crypto to mask some of its transactions. A small portion of its budget seems to come from smuggling in South America, including drug smuggling. I've told you guys about my friend who was in the CIA, who was taught how to speak Spanish with a perfect Argentine accent. Hang on.
When you have no arguments, you just resort to insults. Yes.
I want to get the exact region. Okay. All right. There is a triangle in South America.
Is there?
And why can I not find it? Money laundering. I just want to see which countries border it.
Ron is going to identify as Jewish, so he could pretend he's
the tri-border. Okay, here we go. The tri-border area of South America, Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. All right, I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this article here. So when they talk about the money laundering, drug smuggling, and whatever other triangle, they're talking about that particular part of South America, which is, of course, why my friend was taught how to speak with an Argentine accent, because he was investigating money laundering and other nefarious activities in that part of the world. I'm not going to read you the rest of the article. It's from NBC News. I'm just going to post it.
Apparently, Negs gave half his business LLC to DC recently.
Sorry, I'm
maybe
crossing
he needs
my
to
legs.
make a new NDA.
I've got nerve damage in my left leg, and it's very painful. All right.
Oh, so, you got nerve damage in your leg?
No.
Oh.
Let me close that out. And I wanted to, last little itty bitty clip before getting to Shapiro is this. And it's an IDF officer speaking to a Gazan who's explaining how Hamas is keeping people from leaving the areas that the Israelis warned them to evacuate. So let's listen to this.
IDF officer.
Hello.
Okay. Conversation between an IDF intelligence officer and a Gazan civilian about Hamas preventing civilians from evacuating to the southern Gaza Strip.
أنا عشان أبلغ سلامتك بدي تنزل ضروري لاتجاه خان يونس. لوين؟ لاتجاه خان يونس ضروري. أنا بديش خاطر حالك فمن هيك بدي تنزل لاتجاه الجنوب لاتجاه خان يونس. نسكر كل الطرق طيب. يا عمي محل ما أنت موجود فيه سكر. أنت لازم وين سكر؟ مين سكر الطريق؟ حماس؟ صحيح. ايش؟ ايوه صحيح. وين سكروا الطريق؟ عن شارع صلاح الدين. صلاح الدين؟ ايوه. كيف سكروا الطريق؟ بوجهوا الناس مش حد يطلع، ما حد الناس بيطلعوا بوجهوهم. اما شو انه حطوا السيارات شو سووا؟ ايوه. كيف بالضبط؟ فهمني. تفضل انت شو كيف انت السيارات اللي بيطلعوا بوجهوهم بيقولوا نرجعوا. اما كيف هم سكروا الطريق؟ فهمني. يعني كيف بتلاقي ناس هم يطلقوا الماء هم يطلقوا الماء على الناس اللي بدهم ينزلوا؟ ايوه.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. I mean, if you really are going to believe the talking point that Gaza is an open-air prison, I would ask you to ask yourselves, who exactly are the wardens of said prison? Who are the wardens? All right, now we're going to watch Shapiro. I thought that this particular video was probably the best video I've seen, giving a good summation of the corruption and the bias and the uselessness of the United Nations.
Hello,
I have loathed the UN for many, 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 many years. And it was funny because when I went to see the movie 13 Days, which stars Bruce Greenwood as John F. Kennedy, it's about the Cuban Missile Crisis. And part of
Very good
the high
movie.
points of the film is when Adlai Stevenson goes
Very
before
good
the
choice,
UN
DC. I'm
to
surprised
lay
you're
out the case and show where
acting
the missiles
cultured
are
for
around
once.
Cuba. And you've got Bobby Kennedy and Jack and all the White House people, you know, Ted
Oh, yeah, all
Sorensen,
the
and
White
everybody's
House
in
people.
the White House, and they're all cheering him
Bobby
on, like, you
Kennedy
tell
and
him, Adelaide,
Jack.
you go, Adelaide. And I was thinking, wow, you want to talk about um, an agency that has
By
completely
the
lost
way,
all of its credibility since the 1960s. It's absolutely amazing. I don't remember.
I just came because somebody showed me on Twitter. Somebody DM'd it to me on Twitter. I came across AK's community tab post whining about me deleting her comment. So let's see what she had to say. I'll show you guys actually what she said. Because AJ, I know you were asking about it, I think. So, okay. Let's go to good old Hot Discord Rejects. And let's see what she said. Okay, this is all right. She shared tragic stuff. Okay, here we go. So, AK says, "Why did you delete my comment? Scared? Stop lying about me and tragic, Ross. I never called AJ a spick, you lying skinny asshole. Yes, you did. I called her a sped. No, you didn't. Just like you." Outspoken is not tragic, and you know that. You also know that I'm the one who super doxed you and never put that info out. Don't even try giving me any of this shit. Don't even try giving me any of this shit. This is a lie. This is a lie. Because I've already had multiple people tell me that you fucking put my information out there. You guys are dirty. You guys love to get your hands dirty all the time. I don't fucking believe for 1 second that you did not release my shit to everyone. I don't believe it. Because I know how vile you both are. I'm not an idiot. I'm not fucking retarded. So yeah, this is where she threatened to put all my shit on Onion Farms, which, as I said before, do what you want. I don't give a shit because it's just never going to escalate to any real life harassment with me. So go ahead. I don't give a fuck what you guys do. I don't at all. And then Ritalin commented. Okay. Can personally attest. All right. So Ritalin says, can personally attest, AK and Tragic never put your info out, Russ. Another person I don't believe. Okay. So, back to the review.
Remember when exactly the UN was captured, but it started to really go downhill in the 1970s. And it's only
Oh,
gone
like your
downhill
life.
faster and faster with each passing year. So let's listen to Shapiro because, again,
Actually, I take it back. Your life went downhill the minute that you shacked up with Negs. But I'm sure that it probably already was going downhill way before you guys met. Rock stars and politicians. Oh, yeah. Woo-hoo! Living high on the hog.
Again, I think that this is a great recap. As you can see, I stole my stream title from Shapiro.
Yay,
But
good
he
for
had to put the
you.
little stars in because
Good for
YouTube clutches its
you.
pearls over curse words in titles, and Rumble gives not a single solitary fuck. Lo, I did not speed him up.
Rumble don't
He
care about
speaks
that.
very quickly at a very high-pitched voice, but he's not sped up. So let's listen.
Yesterday, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, took the floor of the United Nations to blame Israel for the murder of 1,500 of its own citizens and the kidnapping of another 200 plus. Here's what he had to say.
Nothing can justify the deliberate killing, injuring, and kidnapping of civilians or the launching of rockets against civilian targets.
Energy drink.
All hostages must be treated humanely and released immediately and without conditions. And I respectfully note the presence among us of members of their families. Excellencies, it is important to also recognize the attacks by Hamas did not happen in a vacuum. The Palestinian people have been subjected to 56 years of suffocating occupation.
This is, simply put, Jew hatred. Full stop, Jew hatred. It is apology for terrorism. It ignores reality. The vast majority of Palestinians live under the direct Palestinian rule, whether Hamas in the Gaza Strip or the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. But worse than that, it reverses reality.
By the way, AK, the reason that I know that you're full of shit is because you and everybody else in the fucking bodega condone doxing and harassment. You all condone that shit. So like I said, I don't believe that you didn't give my info out. And I don't believe that Tragic did not give my info out. You two are wild dogs. You're wild dogs. End of discussion.
It lays the blame for a genocidal mass slaughter of Jews on Jews. Contextualizing mass murder, of course, is par for the course for the evil organization that is the United Nations. And the United Nations is, in fact, an evil organization, as we'll discuss in a moment. Gutierrez didn't stop there. He blamed Hamas's perverse.
You want to know what else is an evil organization? The attic and the bodega.
On settlements, meaning Jews building homes in the heartland of biblical Israel, Judea, and Samaria. Clearly, this somehow contextualizes mass rape and burning of babies. He then drew equivalence between Hamas's Holocaust-level atrocities and Israel's military retaliation directed against Hamas.
Right.
Excellencies, even war has rules. The relentless bombardment of Gaza by Israeli forces, the level of civilian casualties,
bombardment of
and the
Gaza
wholesale
by
destruction of
Israeli
neighborhoods
forces.
continue to mount and are deeply alarming.
Does Clara even identify as a liberal anymore? I don't know, Principal Todd. I have no idea. See, the thing of it is when I did speak to her, I kind of did think to ask her about that. I just didn't. Because, like, what is it going to do for me? I don't care what somebody's political ideologies are.
Protecting civilians can never mean using them as human shields. Protecting civilians does not mean ordering more than 1 million people to evacuate to the south, where there is no shelter, no food, no water, no medicine, and no fuel, and then continuing to bomb the south itself. I'm deeply concerned about the clear violations of international humanitarian law that we are witnessing in Gaza.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the supposed head of the international community, likening military operations to kill terrorists to terrorist operations attempting to kill civilians.
Correct.
All in the name of international law and human rights. These are lies, and they are disgusting lies. And that's the point. If Gutierrez and the international community can somehow equate Israel with its terrorist enemies, they can achieve their actual goal, which is the survival of the terrorist group Hamas. Once again, That is precisely what Gutierrez called for.
To ease epic suffering, make the delivery of aid easier and safer, and facilitate the release of hostages, I reiterate my appeal for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Excellencies, even in this moment of grave and immediate danger, we cannot lose sight of the only realistic foundation for a true peace and stability, a two-state solution.
I pray every day that you will be interested in a relationship with me. I know you are straight, but a girl can dream, can't she? Steve, oh my gosh. I'm flattered. I'll tell you that. I'm flattered.
The humanitarian ceasefire would, of course, benefit Hamas and leave
course.
Hamas in place. And a two-state solution with whom, pray tell?
Right,
With
right.
Hamas? With the terror-supporting Palestinian Authority who signed checks to the people who murdered 1,500 Jews? To
Right.
Islamic Jihad? Doesn't matter. The end goal is obvious. Stop Israel from defending itself. Perpetuate the so-called cycle of violence. Make it harder for Israel to survive.
Imagine proposing a two-state solution and handing over
You are literally
the
the
territory
perfect
that
man.
ISIS
You are beyond
conquered in Syria, for example.
Thank
And
you again,
having
Steve.
them carve it out as an actual caliphate, and saying, okay, well, now these are our borders. And we declare that this is the caliphate and we're not leaving. Imagine the UN being equally insistent on Bashar al-Assad proposing a two-state solution to
A girl
Bashar
can
al-Assad.
dream. I don't know, AJ.
Well, what's wrong?
I don't
Syria is
know
a big
what's going
country.
on.
Why don't you hand over that portion of territory that they conquered? It's only a group of head-chopping slavers who kidnap Yazidi women and take them as sex slaves and have their own wives, these so-called ISIS fighters who come from Chechnya and Europe and Pakistan and all over the place.
Yeah,
Why don't we just
all over the
allow them
place.
to continue their predations, continue?
DC, what about Afghanistan? Shit like that happens over in Afghanistan too. Are you leaving Afghanistan out?
Continue funding their operation by stealing from the Syrian oil wells or the oil wells of surrounding countries. Why don't we allow that to continue and just give them their own state? And let's sit down and negotiate this like gentlemen. No, it would never happen. It would never fucking happen.
Of
But
course
let's
not.
Continue the UN's mission to destroy. The United Nations is a garbage heap of epic proportions.
It is.
It's not merely a useless organization
Yeah,
that costs
she's
the United
leaving
States
out
over $12 billion
places that,
every year. It's an epic failure of an organization that provides
This
cover for
stuff
the world's
happens
worst
in.
human rights abusers
Yep.
and actively foments Jew hatred and Jew murder in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yep.
The United Nations General Assembly is dominated by nations who hate Israel and care little for human rights, which is why from 2015 to 2022, the UN General Assembly adopted 140 resolutions against Israel. It adopted 1 against North Korea, 1 against Afghanistan, 0 against Venezuela, 0 against Hamas, 0 against China.
And that's always been the problem with the UN. The UN has been a virulently anti-Israel organization for decades. And that's why I would love nothing more
Send your complaint to TV3, Ross.
than for the entire apparatus to be up and moved to another country. Preferably move it to
I bet you
Tehran.
would.
Move it there, okay? Move it to, I don't know, Riyadh or Islamabad. Move it somewhere else. And then we can have that glorious UN building and we can turn it into something interesting.
AJ, you know who loves Ben Shapiro quite a lot? My mother. She always tells me about everything he's doing, always tells me about his ideologies. The same with Ben Carson. She fucking recently decided to apply for a debit card that Ben Carson is endorsing because she says that pretty soon they're going to be having this thing supposedly where I think the government can restrict your spending if they don't like what you are buying, or if they don't like what you're doing on social media or something like that. I really don't know, but yeah. Mother Illusionist is big on Ben Shapiro.
And don't worry, as far as, remembering the UN occupying that building at Turtle Bay, because we'll always have the movie North by Northwest. So we'll always remember it not so fondly. With
North by
their diplomats who
Northwest.
don't pay parking tickets and skip out on rent and have diplomatic immunity and don't pay taxes, and it's a giant mess. But
No, he's not.
okay,
No, he's
you know
not.
what? We're better off without you. We have better uses for the building. Just
And the thing of it is he's a Republican, and I've never liked Republicans. I've always thought Republicans were gross. Donald Trump being a prime example, and that's kind of why I am. I've said it already. I'm an independent voter, but I guess you could consider me a liberal as well, because I lean more towards democracy. I'm just somebody that believes that the Democrats, as bad as everybody says that they are, they're obviously not any better than the Republicans. But I lean more towards them because there's a lot more things that they are for that I personally agree with, like, health care, abortion rights. What else is there? I can't really think of anything else. I mean, both sides are two wings of the same bird. Yeah. Also, Social Security. They're for that. They don't want that to be restricted. And I know that all the Republicans in the House of Representatives and elsewhere, they want that to be restricted. They're looking into passing bills to stop Social Security from being distributed to people that need it. And I think that's wrong, because there are a lot of people that do need that. There are a lot of people that do need government assistance. And another thing is, since because of I posted that I had money, and Negs made the assumption that I fucking got my Social Security check. I told Monica and AJ this already. My merch sale, my merch store, it has been booming like a firestorm. That is how I fucking have been making my fucking money, aside from donations. My merch. That's it. I'm not on Social Security. My family wanted to get me on it when I was younger, and they were never able to because the government said that Russ does not meet the determination of being disabled, which I don't. I can function normally. Who do you think has been buying your merch? I don't know. And whoever buys my shit, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care who buys it, who wears it, whatever. Doesn't matter to me who buys it. But yeah, I ain't on Social Security. So I don't know where he came up with that lie, but let him believe what he wants.
fuck off. And no, we won't give you any more money. Bye-bye.
In fact, the entire rest of the world combined merited a grand total of 68 resolutions.
And no, we won't give you any more money. Bye-bye. I have a lot of Russ gear. Oh, I bet you do. Russ, the Republicans would say they want to privatize it, Social Security. However, see, if you privatize it, then yes. Yeah, AJ. Exactly. Yeah. They can restrict it if it gets privatized. And that's one of the things that I don't agree with.
Condemnation, Israel supposedly merited 140.
Right.
The UN's particular hatred for Israel has been a long-running theme.
Yep.
Which of course makes sense. Some 56 member nations are also members of the so-called Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the vast majority of which are directed overtly against Israel. But it means that the UN has served as the propaganda arm for Jew haters all over the globe for decades. In 1975, at the behest of the Soviet Union, for example, the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution declaring Zionism, the political movement for a Jewish homeland, racism.
And I got into so much trouble, by the way, in 1975. I was 10 years old, and I was in a Jewish school. And we were always kept abreast of what was happening in the world. We had a really strong,
Steve, you just let me know when you don't want to worry about money anymore. I will take care of my baby. Steve, if you want to donate, my Cash App and PayPal's right there. Jeez. But yet, the U.S. gives $3.2 billion of American tax dollars to Israel every year. Yeah, they do. Wonder why. It's probably because a lot of people in America think that Israel deserves support, especially because what's going on with Gaza and Hamas right now. That's just my 2 cents, though. I'm talking permanently. Okay.
A strong tradition at the school, at every level, even the very little children, of starting the day with current events. So we would learn about Bangladesh's independence. We learned about all of that
people
stuff.
Take a year off their age, but an entire century is pushing it.
And I remember when Bangladesh became independent, that my teacher got up in front of the room and said,
guys, please leave a thumbs up if you haven't done that yet. I know I've been saying that every fucking time that I stream, but still, please show your support. Lockheed Martin and military industrial complex.
Said, everybody, we have a new country in the world today. And I thought that was really cute. But when it came to this resolution, I remember my teacher, what grade was I in?
Oh, she can't remember what grade she was in now.
1975, 10. I don't remember. I think I was in. See, I was a lot younger than everybody else. Was I in 5th grade?
Well, you are 58, so you would have to have been maybe 15 or 16 around that time.
Or 6th grade. I don't remember. Anyway, the teacher said, asked the class, what is Zionism? And I blurted out racism, and I got in trouble. And I had to explain, but that's what we learned in current events. And she says, no, that's what they say, but it's not true. But I remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday. It was one of my most embarrassing moments as a child in elementary school.
Prompting the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, to declare that the UN had made anti-Semitism international law. Moynihan added, a great evil has been loosed upon the world. Nothing in the nature of the UN has changed since.
I beg to
The United
differ.
Nations has an entire department dedicated to forwarding anti-Israel propaganda and terrorism.
Yep.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency was founded in December 1949 with the purpose of dealing with refugees from the 1948 Israeli War of Independence. Arab refugees, that is, the 800,000 Jews expelled from Arab and Muslim lands in the same time period. Those people were simply taken in by Israel.
Right.
The Arab nations, of course, took in none of the Palestinian refugees.
Yep.
The UNRWA is, in fact, the only agency at the UN dedicated to one specific population.
Correct.
And it has helped keep that population in refugee camps for 70 years.
And that's why if all these shrieky left-wing loonies who are, cuddling up to these militants and these extremists who would eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if they ever set foot in the countries that they come from.
That's true.
If any of them have complaints about the conditions in the refugee camps, that's the complaints department they need to write to. UNRWA. It's a United Nations organization. Israelis do not run those camps. They are run by the United Nations. So if you've got a problem, now I told you where you can address your concerns. Okay, you're welcome.
The UNRWA is almost entirely staffed by members of the Palestinian Arab community.
Yep.
It is, in fact, a globally sponsored welfare organization
Exactly.
with 23,000 Palestinian Arab employees and just 100 UN professionals from elsewhere. It is not
23,000 Palestinian employees. It's one giant make work organization. So why aren't these 23,000 Palestinian employees taking better care of their own people? And why is that Israel's problem and why is that my problem? Guess what? It isn't.
a UN organization.
No,
It
it's
is
not.
a make-work organization that works
make
very,
work. There
very
you go.
closely with Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and the Palestinian Authority. The UNRWA has never condemned Hamas's agenda. It routinely
It's not your problem, but what is your problem is the fact that you decided to get into a relationship with a man that thinks he is a fucking rock star, that thinks that he is the best thing since sliced bread, failed at every single fucking thing in his life, complains about his dead child, uses his dead child as a shield, plays the victim 24/7, and has nothing else to show for it other than that. That's the fact.
hires members of Hamas and Islamic Jihad. One of the UNRWA's chief tasks is running dozens of Palestinian schools. The UNRWA, as you might predict, then helps indoctrinate Palestinian Arab school children in Jew hatred. According to a March report from United Nations Watch, the UNRWA has overseen the broad indoctrination of Palestinian youths into toxic and violent anti-Semitism. That report names 47 cases of incitement to violence by UNRWA staff, 133 UNRWA educators and staff who promote hate and violence on social media, and another 82 educators and staff involved in 30 UNRWA schools who create and distribute Jew-hating content to students.
Hater.
For example, one reading comprehension exercise for 9th graders at Al-Maghazi Middle School for boys in the Gaza Strip celebrates the burn.
So what about this supposed peace treaty the UN's supposed to hold for Palestine? So what about this supposed peace treaty that the UN is supposed to hold for Palestine and Israel right before Hamas attacked? Now Israel has every excuse to not follow through with the peace treaty. Everything was set up, even the peace treaty. Yeah, AJ, you got a point. Well, I will be here, Russ, if you decide to swing for the other team. Oh my. Thank you, Steve.
Burning of a Jewish bus as, quote, a barbecue party. 5th graders at that same UN school were taught that martyrdom and jihad are, quote, the most important meanings of life. This sort of stuff is not uncommon by any stretch of the imagination in Palestinian schools run by the UNRWA, which is why Hamas's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, is a UNRWA graduate. So is Abd al-Raziz Rantisi, the former Hamas chief. So is Ibrahim Makadama, the mastermind behind Hamas's military structure. UNRWA resources are also dedicated to helping terrorist groups more directly. UNRWA vehicles have been used to transport terrorists and weapons. That includes ambulances. UNRWA schools have been used by Hamas to store weapons. UNRWA also helps promote Hamas front groups, including the Palestinian Return Center.
Which is why one of the there is like a whole weapons cache, not the headquarters. They have the Hamas people have established under a hospital. Okay, but there are also official offices of Hamas in that building, in the UN building. And we're helping pay for it. I don't want to pay for this shit. Sorry, I'm just not about that life.
The UNRWA has been used by Hamas to cover its tunnels.
I don't want to
Last
pay for
November,
it
the
either.
UNRWA, in a rare admission, protested the, quote, man-made cavity on the grounds of a UNRWA school.
blame
That's
her
the euphemism
there.
that they use. Man-made cavity,
Nobody
not
wants to
terror
pay
tunnel.
for
They called it
that.
a serious violation of the
Yep.
agency's neutrality. The statement, of course, made no mention of Hamas. In 2021, Hamas actually prevented entry to an investigative team from the UN to a shaft built under a UNRWA school. The whole purpose of this is so that if Israel tries to strike a terror tunnel, it has to hit a school. For all these reasons,
Yep.
the Trump administration cut off contributions.
And there are rocket launchers that are set up next to playgrounds. You see, this is why Gaza is being bombed, okay? You have to understand that Hamas has honeycombed Gaza with
DC has a drama-free life, you see. She has a great life.
rocket launchers. They've got the tunnels under civilian areas. They have tunnels, and they have the openings to these tunnels under schools. They've established their headquarters under the Al Shifa Hospital. I believe that's the name of the hospital. So when they're like, oh my God, all these civilians are being killed, they're being killed because they're being used by Hamas as human shields. And these people are told that there's great glory in martyring oneself for the
Right,
cause.
this is why
These people are
these
fodder.
supposed
They're just
terrorists
meat for slaughter
hate
to
Americans
Hamas. They
because
don't
we have
give a
supported
shit
Israel's
about the
horrible
Palestinian
crimes.
people. They do not give a fuck. That is why they are blocking the roads and keeping these people from moving south to
DC, you don't care about them either. Stop trying to fool everybody. You don't care about anyone but yourself and Negs. This is all mindless propaganda. And DC, they have had to deal with their land being taken away. Correct, AJ, yes. Yeah. Because when America was first discovered, it was inhabited by Indians. Everybody knows about that, I'm sure. It was inhabited by Indians, and we fucking threw all the Indian people out of here and claimed this land as our own. That's how America came to fruition. Of course, everybody thinks that Christopher Columbus had something to do with that. I don't think he did. Nor do I honestly care. But that is what I know about the discovery of America, was that there were Indian people that were living here when America was first discovered, and they were thrown the fuck out. Cry more, Clara, you psychotic piece of shit.
safety. It's vile.
From the United States to the UNRWA. Then President Biden, in all of his vast wisdom, restored hundreds of millions of dollars in funding, much of which undoubtedly went directly to Hamas. Over the course of the last couple of years, the administration gave the UNRWA some $700 million of your taxpayer money.
Gaza, exactly.
This is why back in February, Representative Chip Roy of Texas called for the defunding of the UNRWA, noting, quote, UNRWA's lengthy and detailed history of promoting anti-Semitism, violence, and terrorism through education ties to Hamas should completely disqualify this corrupt entity from receiving any U.S. taxpayer funding.
Yep.
It didn't happen.
And it's not just Biden, by the way. Unfortunately, this country.
And there's more to that as well. I know.
This country refuses to cut off the spigot, which I find deeply distressing, but it's just one of many things that I can do nothing about except for bring awareness to it.
It shouldn't be surprising that after the October 7th massacre, many employees of the UNRWA.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really is not like you can ever do anything about it. You're correct. You are correct on that, because you will never set foot out of that attic at any point in your life. So there is nothing you can do about it. You're not physically going to go to a protest, DC. You're not physically going to go to any sort of demonstration. You're not physically going to go to any sort of movement or anything regarding politics because you are a fake. You don't care about anything like that. And we'd all appreciate it if you would stop acting like you do, because you don't. And neither does Negs. Neither of you actually care about anything like that.
It went online to celebrate the mass Jew murder. So, for example, Principal Iman Hassan, who glorified Hamas's murder of babies as, quote, repaying injustices, and liked her friend's burn, burn, burn. The burn, 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 of course, was direct.
I had asked to meet UNRWA's UNL Lazzarini, UN Lazzarini, over his teachers who called to murder Jews. He refused. We just checked their posts. Meet Principal Iman Hassan as repaying injustices, and liked her friends burn, burn, burn. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire. By the way, Christopher Columbus was ordered by the Queen to not make the New World deal with slavery, but he took a bunch back. Yes, gotta. Yeah, he was. He was ordered by the Queen to not make that fucking deal. He made the deal anyway. I'm assuming.
Directed at civilians. Or UNRWA teacher Mohammed Adwan, who defended the Hamas massacre, quote, what we do is resistance, regaining our rights, and then eulogized terrorists.
Yeah.
Or, for example, UNRWA school counselor Niveen Afana, on the same day of the massacre.
Meet UNRWA school counselor Niveen Afana. On the day of the massacre, she prayed for the murderers. Oh, Allah, have mercy on our martyrs, steadfast our mujahideen. Grant them victory over the unbelievers and a good ending.
She prayed for the murderers on Facebook, quote, oh Allah, have mercy on the martyrs, steadfast our mujahideen, grant them.
Because no one would want to say they support baby killers. Yeah. Because they know they're going to get a lot of shit over that. And nobody needs to be fucking supporting people that kill babies anyway. I mean, it's Shapiro. I'd rather overdose on bleach than listen to him. Gotta actually, I think we can stop with DC for now, because I think that Blair White did a debate with him, if I remember correctly. Yep, she did 5 years ago. So let's look at that instead.
This video is sponsored by me. My official merch store is now online. This is a great way to support the channel and also get an awesome shirt, hoodie, mug, or a pair of socks. Link in the description.
Hey Ben, how are you?
Hey, doing okay. How are you?
Pretty good. So this is sort of something that's been really highly requested on my end, on my channel. I think pretty much since the beginning of me coming on YouTube, people have said, talk to Ben, talk to Ben, talk to Ben. So glad it's finally happening. And this is sparking from an appearance that you did on the Rubin Report a few days ago. And the pronoun topic came up, the trans topic came up, and then I came up. And then I woke up the next day on Twitter and there was just mayhem, people being offended for me because of, you know, obviously your vocal stance on using biological pronouns.
Emotionally triggering language.
What did you think about sort of like the crazy reaction on Twitter to that?
I mean, it was overblown, obviously.
Right, AJ.
I mean, my feeling on this has been pretty well known for a very long time, which is that pronouns are designed to differentiate between men and women, and that transgender women are not biological women. and that anything that attempts to overcome that argument is obfuscation rather than clarification. Like you're a transgender woman, and so you're a transgender woman. But to me, there is a big difference between a transgender woman and a biological woman. And if we're supposed to use these sort of generic pronouns to refer to men and women, then we ought to be using them at their most root level, which is the biological differences. Now, if you want to construct another set of pronouns and talk about whether we use those, that I'm up for. But if you want to talk about hijacking pronouns that have historically been used to describe male and female in biological sense, and then suggest that I am forced to use those pronouns to apply to people who do not fulfill those biological functions, then I have a bit of a problem. And none of that is said with any disrespect meant. The reason it came up on Ruben's show, on Dave's show, is because we were talking about specifically the issue of addressing people Germany, like you in a conversation. And the answer is that I would address you by your name typically. I mean, I would try to avoid specifically offending you by using a pronoun that you don't like, but I also am not going to bow to the sort of social convention now that I'm supposed to use a pronoun of people's choosing rather than a pronoun that accurately describes the truth.
Absolutely. I think that you and I definitely agree on a lot of this. I think Dave's argument, because he was sort of pressing you on the pronoun thing, he was sort of making it you should use this because it's about dignity and grace and compassion, which, Dave's a really nice guy. He's a great friend. I'm not trying to make a dig at him, but I think it's not the best argument for this conversation, and neither is the tactic of all the people on Twitter, just getting offended. I think there's a YouTuber by the name of Theron Meyer who just threw out an FU. And to me, the conversation goes nowhere when that happens. For me, I'd rather have a conversation sort of about the logic behind your stance. And sort of my argument would be the functionality and sort of real world application of using, hardline biological pronouns for people. My argument would be, I did the Michael Knowles show over at you guys' studios a while back, and he was sort of expressed to me that he was sort of feeling conflicted with the person he was sitting and interacting with, and the fact that he, has the same stance as you typically on pronouns. And the thing that came up was, well, if you and I were to go to a business dinner or any kind of dinner, and you were meeting me at a restaurant, and I was there first, and I was in an orange shirt, and you had to tell, the host, I'm here to meet my friend Blair, and they said, okay, and you had to describe me to take me to the table. You wouldn't say the man in the orange shirt, you would say Blair, you would say her over there. So for me, it's about sort of real world application of it. The thing that I hate the most is being expected in these conversations to sort of suspend my reality of how like social interaction really works outside of the debate. So what do you feel about that?
I think there's some truth to that, meaning that I think that there is a utility to the use of pronouns, but that's not quite the same as suggesting that a transgender woman is a she in the objective sense. So if I were to go to dinner with you and there were to be a waiter there and I were to direct the waiter to you, obviously we would go based off your physical appearance. But the argument for transgender people is that if you looked like me, you could still be transgender woman. Right? You wouldn't actually have to go through surgery. You wouldn't have to actually go through hormone treatments. You wouldn't have to go through any of that to be perceived as a woman. And therefore, if it would actually be assuming pronouns for me to be sitting at dinner and you to walk up and say that dude sitting over there, right? You'd actually be assuming my pronoun if I were a transgender woman. And this is the part where it gets into this really bizarre space that makes no sense to me, meaning that obviously in terms of utilitarian effect. You're right. If I were to walk into dinner and try and describe you, you look like a woman. Therefore, to the person there, I wouldn't be trying to explain who you were or your background, because what's the point of that? I want to get from point A to point B in the quickest possible time, from the front door to the table in the quickest possible time. But that's not to suggest the truth of the pronoun that I'm using to describe to the person. Let me give you a different example. If there were a person who were sitting at dinner and that person were wearing a blonde wig, but the person wasn't actually blonde,
right here in front of us
I would say the blonde over there. That doesn't mean the person actually has naturally blonde hair. It means that the person is blonde sitting there. So I think that it's important to differentiate these things as opposed to sort of conflating. I think a lot of the confusion with this stuff is from conflation. So it's people saying that Blair, you're white. Well, you're correct. You're right. When it comes to the third person description, therefore I should always address you directly, or about when I talk about you, I should address you the same way that I would address a biological woman. I don't think that argument follows at all.
Exactly. I think context matters. I saw an interview with you on, I think it was Joe Rogan, where you were saying that you have absolutely no issue referring to a trans person by perhaps a new legal name if they were to change their name, because it's like you can change your name. So I just had the question, because you can in fact legally change your gender as well. Does that affect anything as far as that goes for you either?
It doesn't, just because gender and sex are objective truths. Names are not objective truths, right? This is going back to Romeo and Juliet. You know, and a rose banner, the name would smell as sweet. You know, if I named my daughter something else, she would be the same human being. So that's not quite the same thing when it comes to
words coming out of Ben's mouth at the moment. But then he spreads this false narrative about Israel, so you go along with it easier.
Objective, verifiable facts with regard to sex and or gender. So, you know, Rachel Dolezal could, let's say you could legally change her race. It wouldn't make Rachel Dolezal any more black than Rachel Dolezal is, which is to say she's white. So the legal aspect.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think for me, it kind of goes down to, for instance, if someone were to adopt children, there's no biological basis for them that kid's parents, because they're not. Like, they're just literally not. There's no link at all biologically, but there is a social reason to do it and there's a legal reason to do it. So for me, that's sort of where it boils down to me with pronouns. And I agree with you also. You've mentioned that if someone makes no effort to transition at all, it's really unreasonable to expect that someone actually uses pronouns in a way that they prefer, because
I just can't.
Pronouns boil down to, rather than chromosomes, I think secondary sex characteristics, which are still biological.
I agree with some of the things he stands for too. But then, of course, he's like, he's not without his faults. He's not without his problems. He does get some things wrong. He does. He absolutely does. There are a lot of things that he's not correct on. But he still does make some very good points.
But it really does kind of boil down to what you look like, in my opinion.
So to go back to the adoptive parents argument, I would say that we actually do have different descriptions for adoptive parents than biological parents, right? You'll say in shorthand that they're parents because they're all different types of parents, but we do say adoptive parents, right? We don't just say, like, if we were to refer to you as a trans woman and that were all we were going to refer to you as, I'm fine with that. I don't care. You're a trans woman. Sure. That's not the same as a biological woman. It's a different descriptor. The same thing is true of adoptive parents versus biological parents. And then the question becomes, okay, exactly as the context that you were suggesting matters. In what context are we talking about the parents? Are we talking about a PTA meeting? Okay, this person is the legal guardian and therefore the parent, because parenting has two aspects, right? There's the biological parentage, and then there's...
This is why they have to control the information that is out there. There are a lot of things that have disappeared, especially over the past 7 years, right when Trump got in. Yes.
There is the actual role of parenting. And so I would assume that in the dinner conversation, the same things were...
Like all of us do. We all have certain stands that we believe regardless, and that's fine. But still, fuck him.
Holds true, meaning there is the biological role of woman, which you're not, and then there is the you look like a woman, which is I'm going to describe you as a woman to the waiter when he comes to direct me to the table.
Right. I think this is the interesting differentiation to make, but because I think a lot of people seem to think that your stance isn't just in the context of perhaps a debate or in the context of perhaps, arguing about these things, that it's like in every social aspect.
No, I don't care about that. I mean, this is exactly what I said to Dave. Like, what I said to Dave is, the problem is that whenever I discuss this topic, it is inevitably in a public setting, right? And once you start discussing the topic, the typical thing that people on the left like to do is to bring somebody who's transgender into the conversation and then make it as though I'm insulting that person if I take the...
So under Trump's power, things started to disappear off the internet in the name of fear/death. But other things about our history have went right along with it, completely disappeared. Yeah, I mean, Trump has been responsible for a lot of fucked up shit. The Capitol riots being one of the most despicable and disgusting things out of all of the stuff that he's done. In 2005, the whole fucking grab him by the pussy thing was absolutely gross. And then the whole thing with Stormy Daniels, how she had said that she had an affair with him and she was paid hush money. He was never a good president. He never was. I'm sorry, he just never was. And the fact that he even got fucking elected, the only reason he fucking got elected is because, you know, it's always been a thing to only have a male president. I hate to burst everybody's bubble out there that wants us to have a female president, but it's not going to happen unless everything regarding that is changed somehow to where we do finally get a female president. I mean, we at least have the next best thing. If you ask me, we have the first female vice president, which is Kamala Harris, but I don't think that it is going to be changed ever to where a woman becomes the president of the United States of America. I don't think it'll ever be changed. I really don't. There was this great documentary that was like 10 parts long about World War II. It's almost impossible to find now because it doesn't go with the narrative. I see.
Position that I'm taking. And I find that utterly obnoxious, right? In the same way that I find it obnoxious when Jimmy Kimmel trots out his child to talk about healthcare. Like, what does this have to do with anything? Yeah. My argument is either true or it's not true on its own merits, not based on the audience to whom I'm speaking.
Right, absolutely. And I think that from what I've seen, a lot of your interactions with trans people, although I guess there haven't been many, but in sort of like debate form, but the ones that I have, they always end up kind of ugly. You know what I mean? Yeah. There was I think the person's name was Zoe Tur. Mm-hmm. There was the threat of physical violence. And then, so I look at that and I feel like on my end, it's like I'm always damage controlling for the trans community, which is so frustrating. I'm sure you saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, what's hilarious about this, Blair, is literally the exact same thing that I'm saying to you right now is exactly what I said to Zoe Tur on the air. Right? I mean, this is the exact same argument in almost the exact same way. And because you're a reasonable human being, you're not trying to leap through the camera to strangle me. And I've just always found it bewildering that if we are going to substitute, offense based on identity for actual argument, then we're not going to get anywhere with this particular discussion. And you're exactly right. When people start yelling at each other or tweeting out F you, that's not a great way to change my mind. It turns out that's not particularly convincing.
Yeah, and this may seem like another run-of-the-mill talk about pronouns, but I actually think there was kind of a revelation made here. I think there genuinely is a misconception that your stance on pronouns is like in any setting. And I think that was always my confusion was, like again, suspending my knowledge of how real interactions work. I'm like, well, that wouldn't actually work in real life, but it works in terms of like, no, we're talking about trans issues, so we're going to talk hardline biology. That's your choice. I would say that there's some settings in which, for instance, there was a Daily Caller article written about me a few months ago. I did a video wearing a Trump hat in Hollywood, and it was a mess. But I did. They wrote an article about me, and they initially used female pronouns.
Yeah, I'll show
the entire
that
article, and then one of the.
I'll show that. This is what happened.
Oh my!
Hey guys, so today is a bit of a different kind of video. We're doing a social experiment video. You guys know I've been doing on the street stuff, and Joey and I had this sick idea of walking around West Hollywood, which is the gay area of Hollywood, and just, wearing a little hat that we think people will be really upset about. And the thing about it is this is just an experiment. This is not us trying to be like every conservative, sticking it to the libtards of Hollywood. If I lived in like Arkansas or something, I would probably think it's just interesting to wear a Hillary hat. So let's just see what happens. See you on the gay strip.
I gotta give him some money.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta do it.
Fuck it, I don't want to hear anything he has to say about Monty. Monty bitch slaps the crying ground.
All
right, so we took a quick break back at the house, and I changed my clothes because that's kind of what I do. West Hollywood wasn't that bad, was it?
No, not that bad.
It really was not that bad. The gays are pretty polite. So we got some like awkward stares, but honestly, that was way better than I thought it was gonna go. And now we're gonna go to Hollywood Boulevard, which you guys don't know, that is like the Walk of Fame. Here, that might be something different.
Yeah.
That's gonna be different.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm wearing heels, I can't fight. I was kidding, I can. So yeah, see you on the Walk of Fame.
Make America great again. And their bullshit, what do they represent? Make America right again. Make America right.
Somebody's going to get fucked up. Hang on. Guy in the vagina hat repeatedly stomps on the hat and also Blair's hand. Blair on the ground.
You threw it. Give me the hat. Give me the hat. It's mine. Don't throw it. I didn't throw it. You threw it.
They ripped it off my hand.
What a bunch of pussies.
People need to post more comments so he gets pissed and reads them. That shit was so funny. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to show something else that I shared on my community tab and on Twitter. Because there's actually an Urban Dictionary definition for negs. Okay. Here it is. Urban Dictionary. Negs. To be a social media addicted wannabe over the age of 40 who refuses to get a real job and neglects his/her children in the process. Often seen inserting themselves into internet drama and white knighting for racists, drama queens, and child exploiters. People who fall into this category run a high risk of becoming public park or shopping mall stalkers. Public park or shopping mall stalkers. Ain't that a shame? Ain't that a shame? Okay. Ugh.
It's really bad.
Babe, let me see.
Yeah, that describes noodles too.
All right, let's go bandage that up.
They ripped my real nail off, not just my acrylic.
Did
you get it, babe?
Yeah.
Cool. And what's your name? You're going to be in the vlog too.
I'm Ashley. I watched your whole transition. I'm so your
Aww.
Oh, thank you so much. Shout out to Ashley. Love Ashley.
So cute. Well, have a great night, guys. Watch out for those protesters.
Yeah,
They're dangerous.
Good.
Good. Okay. It's recording.
Filming it out.
I can't see where I'm aiming.
Just keep it aimed like that.
Okay.
And then when you want to aim it down, you can.
Watch what happens here.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I had no idea there was even going to be a protest. First of all, it was like a male feminist came and stomped on my hand. I was trying to get your hat because he threw your hat.
You took my hat right off my.
Well.
Oh my. Hey! Oh my.
It's burning really bad.
Oh my God.
Actually. It's
Babe.
burning so bad.
Oh
my God.
What
that
the
person
is
threw
it on
hot
my
coffee
face? I'm
at
figuring
her.
out what it is on my face,
Babe.
Joey. Is it in my eyes? What? Eyes. Oh my God. I have socks in and everything. I can't open my eyes.
Oh my God.
Was that just a? I don't know.
It's alcohol. It's alcohol.
It's clear.
Oh, I thought
Is it clear?
It's like
Are you sure it's up?
I don't know. I smell it smells like alcohol. It's all in your hair. Oh my God! Look at your.
Oh my God.
Babe, we gotta come on. Let's go. I'm done.
I'm done. Let's go.
Hold on.
What the?
Is the person gone?
We'll check the footage. I don't know. I think it was a chick.
Oh my god.
No. Hi.
Are you okay though? For real? Hey, look at me. Are you okay?
I'm over it.
You okay?
I'm over it. I want to go home.
All right, we'll go home. All right, I'm calling an Uber. Say bye. Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Okay. What did we learn today?
Definitely cannot wear a Trump hat in Hollywood.
First of all, have we figured out what is on me yet?
It smells
like alcohol.
It smells like alcohol.
Yeah, and it was
like,
red, so maybe like.
It's just. I'm so sorry. You really should shower.
The thing about it is, like, we filmed you for so long, but it was
the whole day. I thought I was gonna get my butt
nothing
kicked.
happened to you.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Nothing
to me.
happened to you.
Yeah, and then look at you. Like, look at, I can't even like your poor nail.
No, it hurts so bad. But
That's so messed up. And you're covered. You smell awful. I'm really sorry.
We really didn't go there looking to with anyone. Like it literally was just what happens if we wear a hat.
No, because the whole thing was we didn't want to put the hats on and go and like be dicks to people. It's like we put the hats on just to see what would happen.
No, and
then it just so happened to be a protest
and
tonight.
Protest.
Like we've been putting off this video for weeks. Like because like we're so busy. We were moving. We tried filming it in the morning in West Hollywood. We didn't get a great reactions. And then magically there was like a Trump protest at night.
I want to eat and shower and go to sleep. And I look really forward to seeing what you guys have to say.
Not in that order. You should shower.
Not in the I should shower. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you want for dinner?
Chinese food.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
YouTube recently demonetized all of my videos. If you'd like to support this channel, fight YouTube censorship.
All right. I guess that's it. I'm not going to review Negs tonight because I need a break for once from him. So yeah, as always, thank you guys for joining me. And please make sure to like this up. And if you're new here, hit my sub button. Make sure you subscribe. So they were so busy and just so happened to go on a day there was a protest. Probably because they wanted to film the video, AJ. Negs isn't that special. Yes, AJ. Oh no, what happened? What happened now? Oh, he is? I don't care. Let him do what he wants. I'm not surprised. All right, well, I'll end with a song I like. I'll play us out with the Romanian dance queen herself in a and AJ, you'll like this song. AJ.
You're here this night, all the night you're by my side. They think it's wrong. I don't care about the world. You're here this night, all the night you're by my side. Can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. Can't get off. Can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. Can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. I have been sad every night.
I can't smile tonight.
I've been sad every night. I can't smile tonight.
Yeah, she is AJ.
They think it's wrong. I don't care about the world. You're here this night, all the night you're by my side. They think it's wrong. I don't care about the world. You're here this night, all the night you're by my side. Can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. Can't get off. I can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. Can't get off. Can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. Can't get off. I can't get off 'cause I'm feeling sad. I have been sad every night. I can't smile tonight. I've been sad every night. I can't smile tonight.
Be vigilant, my friends. Critical thought and emotions are separate from
I've been sad every night. I can't smile tonight. I've been sad every night. I can't smile
Yeah, Portal. Okay. So, thank you guys for coming. Make sure you like this up. And have a good rest of your night.